SuperTalk Mississippi media production.
Come see your locally owned and operated Linton Glass for all your glass needs. No matter what glass you need to replace, you can count on Linton Glass. Call us today at 601-835-4336 or find us on the web at lintonglass.com.
Oh, yeah.
Good morning, Mississippi.
Everything gonna be all right this morning.
Mornings with Richard Cross.
Oh, yeah.
Here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Woo! Now, when I was a young boy, at the age of 5, my mother said I was gonna be the greatest man alive. But now I'm a man, way past 21. I want you to believe me, baby.
Hey, good morning. Welcome in on this Monday, the 6th of April. Thanks for joining us. It is Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi. Streaming at supertalk.fm and at SuperTalk TV. I knew it was going to be chilly, cooler this morning than it has been. But I'm not sure my old bones were ready for 44 when I stepped outside the door. That feels like 41 degrees. The good news is this will be short-lived, or as the Brits might say, short-lived. It will warm back up. We will be in the mid-70s and the low 80s for most of the rest of the week. It's that last little dash of cool. I had a buddy said he was going to build a fire last night. I was like, really? He's like, it's going to be a low in the 40s. I figure it's probably my last chance. And he may have been right. Welcome in. Mornings with Richard Cross, presented by Community Bank, online at communitybank.net. Community Bank, rooted in our community, alongside Lance Tolbert. I'm Richard Cross. We welcome you to the conversation. Lance, hello, my friend.
Man, it's a balmy 53 around here, dude.
There you go.
I mean, I have some sleeves on, but...
Put on some Bermuda shorts.
Yeah, sleeves and Bermuda shorts. That's the way to roll today if you're in central Mississippi. But, yeah, it was nice to, kind of wake up, get a little slap in the face when you walked out the door, knowing that it's not going to last. It's not going to...
Like, woo.
Yeah, it's nice.
Little nip in the air. Absolutely. Was your Easter weekend nice?
All you could hope for, definitely. Got church and food and family and, all that and rest. And the Rebels, went on the road and had one of those surprising weekends where you take 2 out of 3 in the SEC. So, yeah, that was nice. And being a Rebel fan, I hated to see State, not take 1 or 2 from Georgia, but, they'll catch up. That's what happens when you sweep somebody. Usually it comes back and gets you, too. You get swept somewhere, so.
Lance just decided he'd jump straight to the sports update.
Well, that was my weekend, man.
All part of the weekend, though.
Yeah, that was my Easter. Yeah.
I spent a lot of time in the yard.
I did enough of it. I mean, I planted.
Got a lot to go still.
Yeah, I planted all kinds of sunflowers and zinnias and 6 tomato plants and got all kinds of stuff done. So it was as productive as I could be, I think. What did you get accomplished in your yard? Still a lot of cleanup stuff.
Got a little bit planted. Got new topiaries out front and planted, I think they were sunshade white begonias.
Mm-hmm.
And then some spiller in the big pots around. I did potted azaleas last year, which I've never really done. We got some square planters on the front. And I was tired of just putting a little evergreen tree in there. So I got a little color in there and got the spiller put in and got more limbs and branches and logs. They seem to keep falling. A couple of trailer loads of those hauled off. And then I cut
some big words out, like topiary and spillers. And, what you're talking about. It sounds like a guy that knows a little bit about landscaping.
Just a small bit. Small bit. And then I decided to mow yesterday afternoon. It was cold on the lawnmower for a little while. But I dropped it down. So I cut probably a week and a half or so, maybe 2 weeks ago, but didn't do the entire yard. It was kind of the front and the sides, just kind of clean it up a little bit. And I dropped that bad boy down and shaved it yesterday. So
putting green quality.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that it's Augusta, but it's not a goat ranch either at this point. So
Yeah, Obie will
hopefully
be out
get
there.
all that thatch out and get all the junk out and let it kind of grow in and get ready to roll.
Well, when you come home one day and you've got sand wedge or your one of the lob wedge divots all in one spot, you'll know that Obie was out working on his short game a little bit.
That's right.
You'll be thanking Dad. Thanks for this grass, Dad. And you'll be looking at him like, man,
Fill it
you
in
got to
with
sand it
after the fact,
You gotta
buddy.
Sand it.
C-Spire text line is open to you. Would love for you to join the conversation at 601-879-4395. 601-879-4395. Right now at C-Spire, new and current customers can get a free phone, watch, and tablet plus 100 gigs of data for just $90. There's more to see. Visit cspire.com. Man, lots and lots and lots to talk about and not nearly enough time this morning. Oxford going to be in the mid-70s, overnight low in the upper 40s, mostly clear to partly cloudy during the day. Scattered or some afternoon clouds possible. Low chance of rain, like less than 5%, which is pretty nice. Mid-70s today in Starkville, upper 40s overnight, mostly clear to mostly sunny. Pleasant and delightful in Starkville. Hattiesburg going to be a little bit warmer, upper 70s. Even a chance that you get into the low 80s today with lows overnight in the low 50s. Some clouds mixed in with clear skies, almost no chance of rain. And in Gulfport today, low 70s for your high. Going to be in the mid-50s in the overnight. Mild coastal breezes expected. How good does that sound? Coastal breezes.
Sounds constant there, like perfect weather. Stuff's blooming all the time.
Yeah. C-Spire text line. Good morning, guys. Hope you had a wonderful Easter. Good to be back with you. I did have a wonderful Easter. Did a big lunch at the house, family lunch at the house yesterday, and it was like full-on brunch style. Mm-hmm. So, the egg casserole, biscuits, ham, a lot of fruit, a lot of Danish options. Some, enough sweets, though, in like the main meal that you get around to dessert, and you're like, I don't need a piece of cake right now. Mm-hmm. I'm going to have to get back to you on that.
Yeah, nap time after all that.
Mm-hmm. No doubt. Hope it was a wonderful day for you and for your family, that you were able to celebrate the resurrection of Jesus yesterday with the church family, that you're able to take in a bit of the Word and make that the focus of your day wherever it is that you were yesterday, wherever you worshiped. William Wordsworth was born on this day in 1770, the influential English Romantic poet, author of works like Lance's favorite, The Prelude. Mm-hmm. He was a poet laureate in the United Kingdom.
Yeah, with a name like that, you kind of have to be a writer, right?
Yeah.
Not gibberish worth. William Wordsworth.
Yeah. Surprised that this guy's Will and not William. Will Keith Kellogg, the American industrialist who founded the Kellogg Company and popularized breakfast cereal foods like cornflakes. Cornflakes kind of stood the test of time. Billie Holiday was born on this day in 1915, the American jazz and blues singer, iconic for songs like Strange Fruit and God Bless the Child. Francis Ford Coppola, born on this day in 1939, the film director who really doesn't need much of an introduction. Screenwriter, producer, of course, the Godfather trilogy, though he probably should only claim the first two. And Apocalypse Now.
Oh, I love Apocalypse Now. The Redux, full.
Are you the random person that actually likes Godfather 3?
Oh, no, I just like that it's a trilogy. Yeah, the third one's terrible compared to the first two. But yeah. I mean, it winds it down, kind of. But,
yeah.
But no, that's Nick Cage's, uncle, right?
Is it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's his uncle.
Okay. Jackie Chan, born on this day in 1954, the Hong Kong martial artist, actor, stuntman, director, and producer with a global career in action films.
Rush Hour. That's the one you need.
Russell Crowe, born in 1964, the New Zealand actor known for his roles in My Name is Maximus. Maximus Aurelius. Gladiator. Beautiful Mind, The Insider. John Oates, born in 1948. One half of the duo of Hall & Oates. And the great Tony Dorsett, born on this day in 1954, the Hall of Fame running back, famous for his time with the Dallas Cowboys. Just a few of the famous birthdays from this day, April 6th. CC in Senatobia. New dessert option for the Masters Champions Dinner. The Tiger-inspired Rover turnovers.
Ooh. Come with handcuffs, too.
Tiger going to be unable to attend in person. No word as to whether or not they will send a go plate to Switzerland for him. Last time, didn't he spend some time in Hattiesburg last time?
I can't remember.
Believe so. Those demons keep on coming back. We got news headlines for you. We've got stuff that happened on this day in history. It's Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
From the Venable Glass Track.
Start your day right. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Good day to you. Thanks for joining us. Mornings with Richard Cross, presented by Community Bank, online at communitybank.net.
Through a long, cold winter, today is that day you've been waiting for.
All right, let them go.
To walk through the gates here is to pass through a portal. The annual return to this verdant place of warmth and wonder, of memories and anticipation. The calendar might have told you that spring was already here, but now you know it for sure. Welcome back. It is Monday at the Masters.
Yes, sir.
I thought I knew that sound. I was like, what is he doing here? Oh, the Masters.
Yeah. Sprinkle in a bit for you here and there as we go throughout the week.
You got a favorite? Out of the gate?
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Okay.
We'll get to that. Because on this day in 451, Attila the Hun and his forces.
He played golf, huh?
Sack and plunder the city of Metz in northeastern France, sparing the lone golf course but killing most inhabitants and burning much of the town during his invasion of the Western Roman Empire. I made the golf course part up.
You know he was thinking about it.
In 529, Eastern Roman Emperor Justinian I issues the first draft of the Corpus Juris Civilis, later known as the Justinian Code, a foundational work in Western jurisprudence that influenced legal systems for centuries. 1798, the Mississippi Territory, officially organized by an act of Congress signed by President John Adams. This created the territory from lands previously disputed with Spain. The initial capital was Natchez, laid the groundwork for Mississippi's path to statehood in 1817. In 1805, the Lewis and Clark expedition departs from Fort Mandan near present-day Washburn, North Dakota. Wonder if they loved North Dakota or they were glad to leave that piece of the country behind.
They probably were like, hey, we got stuff to see. Let's roll. And then after about a month out, after about a month out, they're like, man, maybe we need to go back.
Resuming their historic journey westward toward the Pacific Ocean. In 1820, English chemist John Walker sells the first practical friction matches, later known as lucifers, revolutionizing fire starting and everyday life. Wonder if he could have imagined that one day you'd be able to get this little wand and just press a button and a torch would come out.
It makes it a lot easier, but you know, you can't. You always got to have a pack of matches, though. Right? Always, still to this day. I mean,
are you drawn to the bowl of a box of matches?
Oh, I love anywhere I go. If you see the little matchbooks or they giveaways, I got all. You know, I'm going to have them. But yeah, I'm one of those prep types. You know, if you're you got to have matches too. The lighter is fallible.
Where is it in life? And by the way, I am more of a fan of stick matches in a box than I am of a book of matches. But where is it along the way that you learn to put your middle finger tip on the tip of that match and drag it across and move it in time for it not to get burned versus the fold the match pack over backwards and like kind of pull it through?
Yeah. You're going more advanced when you just use when you don't flip it over, right? I mean, you've learned lessons and now you know how to do this like a grown up. But yeah, I used to have to do the flip it over deal.
Battle of Shiloh ends in Tennessee during the American Civil War. On this day in 1862, Union forces under Ulysses S. Grant and Don Carlos Buell defeated the Confederate troops in one of the war's bloodiest early battles. While the Battle of Shiloh unfolded just across the border in Tennessee, it heavily involved Mississippi troops and had major consequences for the state. Confederate forces from Mississippi suffered significant losses in one of the deadliest and bloodiest early battles of the Civil War. Today in 1906 was the day that Mount Vesuvius erupted violently, devastating the city of Naples and the surrounding areas in Italy with ash, lava, and destruction. During World War II, on April 6, 1945, U.S. Navy aircraft sink the massive Japanese battleship Yamato, one of the largest ever built during Operation Ten-Go. It was a major blow to the Imperial Japanese Navy near the island of Okinawa. 1948 was the day that the World Health Organization is formally established as a specialized agency of the United Nations focused on global health, disease prevention, and health services. April 7th, tomorrow, is now observed annually as World Health Day. Are we officially out of the WHO? Or did a judge overturn that as well?
Yeah, I'll look that one up.
Dwight D. Eisenhower on this day in 1954 publicly articulated the domino theory of communism in a news conference, warning the fall of one nation in Indochina, the Vietnam region, could lead to the collapse of others. And finally, on this day in 1994, the Rwandan genocide began in earnest with the assassination of moderate Hutu Prime Minister Agathon Uwilingiyimana.
Those names are tough, man. I've studied Rwanda and Burundi, and you just kind of had to make up something in your head as you read through the books. It was impossible. But that was the worst genocide I've ever absolutely. Now, you can't take away from what the Germans and Nazis did to the Jews, but good Lord, man. I mean, in Rwanda and Burundi, they were running around with like machetes killing each other.
Mass killings in Kigali. Following the downing of the president's plane the day before, hundreds of thousands would die in the following months.
And, I mean, next-door neighbors just showing up and butchering each other. Now, you're at your question about the World Health Organization. Formally completed its withdrawal, the U.S. did, on January the 22nd, 2026.
Okay. So it took about a year.
Mm-hmm. He initiated it in January of 2025. Yep.
News headlines for you this morning. On Friday, the legislature said sine die. The 2026 Mississippi legislative session came to an end, kind of. House of Representatives and Senate gavelled in and quickly gavelled out on Good Friday, with each chamber's leadership leaving the door open for a potential return to the state capitol in just a few days. Both adjourned sine die pursuant to House Concurrent Resolution 64, a measure to extend the regular session on paper. The resolution calls on both chambers to reconvene in Jackson on April 15th, unless House Speaker Jason White and Lieutenant Governor Delbert Hosemann agree that it is unnecessary. Delbert Hosemann said, "We'll probably see you again." Unlike last year, legislators passed a budget before concluding the regular session, allowing them to wrap up their affairs without a special session to ensure that state agencies were funded. Legislature approved a budget just south of $7.4 billion, the biggest chunks going to education and health care. One person is dead. Several are injured after a rollover crash in Quitman County. On Friday, the Coahoma County Fire Department said that the previous day in the afternoon, it was asked just after 4 o'clock to assist in a crash response as multiple patients with life-threatening injuries were found on Highway 6. Despite paramedics attempting life-saving measures, one person pronounced dead at the scene. At least 2 others airlifted to hospitals for treatment. The names of both the deceased and the injured yet to be released. A police K-9 is reported to have been killed in the line of duty in North Mississippi. It was confirmed that K-9 officer Floki was fatally wounded at the Marshall County Correctional Facility last Thursday morning. The dog was discovered by Commander Josh Russell, who was about to bring him in for food and water in the morning. Prison officials believe that Floki was shot while working on the back perimeter of the prison to prevent illegal contraband from coming into the facility. Officials said Floki was patrolling along a secured strip of land between a pair of perimeter fences when he was killed. Earl Kane, commissioner of the MDOC, said it's a shame to kill a defenseless dog who was doing his job to help us keep contraband out of the prison. It's just a shame to kill our dog. Floki was a 7-year-old multi-purpose Dutch Shepherd used for tracking, narcotics detection, and other tasks. $1,000 reward is out for the arrest and conviction of anyone behind the death of the K-9. If convicted, that person faces a fine of up to $5,000 and up to 5 years in prison. Not enough money and not long enough in the clink.
No way, no. We had a Dutch Shepherd in with us on Mary's show last year. I believe it was Byram. His name is Zeus. Most amazing dog. Watching him work, it was just a thing of beauty. I can't believe somebody would do something like that to a dog, but I guess they wanted that contraband in.
My uncle used to light a match by snapping his fingers. I guess creates some serious friction.
That's a little magic there.
Mm-hmm. Good to be with you on this Monday morning, start of a new week. Today is April 6th, 2026. You've got it locked in to Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi, streaming at supertalk.fm and SuperTalk TV. We're back with you right after this. MRC presented by Community Bank.
From Sumner to Summit to Summerall, Richard has something for you. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk Mississippi.
It's Monday morning, and Debbie in Ocean Springs has got jokes on the C Spire text line. What's the difference between a hippo and a zippo? One's a little heavy and one's a little lighter. Thanks, Debbie.
I was laughing pretty good at that.
Governor Tate Reeves announced Thursday that he had vetoed Senate Bill 2477, legislation authored by State Senator Hob Bryan, that would have added requirements to the spending of funds through the Rural Health Transformation Program. Bryan, the chairman of the Senate Public Health and Welfare Committee, in a Facebook post announcing his veto, Reeves said he had been working closely with the Trump administration on their rural health funding initiatives because it is so important to rural Mississippi. While Reeves said he personally likes Hob Bryan, having worked with the senator when he was lieutenant governor, Bryan is a liberal Democrat, quote, unquote. He went on to say, I think Bryan would be the first to tell you that he is not a fan of my legislative goals, of conservative policy in general, or President Trump. We simply do not agree on political philosophy or political goals or the Trump administration. It is what it is. Ryan's legislation sought to require a competitive bidding process for the establishment of a state health information exchange, restricting the use of the state's emergency purchase procedure. It would have also required every agency that awards grants or funds derived from the Rural Health Transformation Program to submit quarterly spending reports to the legislature. Governor Reeves said that while no doubt well-intentioned, Senate Bill 2477 would, quote, significantly slow down the awarding of RHTP federal funds by imposing redundant and unnecessary requirements on subgrants, thereby putting $205.9 million in already approved funding at immediate risk of clawback. That doesn't sound entirely unfamiliar to conversations that we had last week. In addition, Senate Bill 2477, according to the governor, risks the state losing a minimum of $800 million in potential funding in years 2 through 5 of the grant cycle. Thus, the risk of loss, which could exceed $1 billion in much-needed funding to improve rural health care, is too great, and I am compelled to veto the bill at this time. Interestingly, the legislation had received near unanimous support in both chambers, with only 5 votes in opposition in the House and unanimous passage in the Senate. I think we need to learn more on this one. Finally, as the 2026 session was wrapping up, we had a press conference with Mississippi Democrats in the legislature last week. Lawmakers listed a number of things that they thought did not go well, including the lack of a ballot initiative process, insufficient medical care, roadblocks to restoring suffrage, little to no appropriations to historically black universities, and the reduction of child care programs among some of the major issues that they say were not sufficiently addressed during the session. I don't disagree on the ballot initiative process. Medical care is the second largest item in the budget. The position they have on restoring suffrage is that nonviolent criminals should have a path back to the right to vote. HBCUs, it's an interesting conversation. There absolutely is a place and a need for our historically black colleges and universities. But something has got to be done about the performance of those schools. You cannot continue to throw money at schools without results. It's kind of the basis of the whole performance-based funding conversation we've been having. Child care programs, there's about $15 million that the legislature allocated a year ago for those that was not recommitted this year. There was also $26 million or I don't remember the exact number right off the top of the head, that was larger for Medicaid that kind of put a clamp on a lot of places you could spend money this year. Time for your morning sports update, brought to you by Pearl River Resort, online at pearlriverresort.com. Your home for family fun, casino thrills, and live entertainment. This will be a busy week at Pearl River Resort and at the Dancing Rabbit Golf Club. A lot of people make an annual trip to Dancing Rabbit during Masters Week. You can check it out as well. Book your tee time online at dancingrabbitgolf.com. Dancing Rabbit, part of Pearl River Resort. Ole Miss went to Gainesville this weekend. They won game 1, 6-4. Had to hang on for dear life at the end. Got no offense in game 2 and lost 2-0. And then in game 3, Ole Miss won its first road series over a ranked opponent since 2022, scoring 5 runs in the 9th inning to defeat number 21 Florida 5-2 and win the rubber match in the series. Ole Miss had not scored in the previous 20 innings before exploding for 5 runs in the ninth. Cade Townsend put together his first career quality start. Career high 6 innings with just 1 run on 4 hits, striking out 6, did not allow a walk in the game. Down to the final 3 outs of the series, Tristan Becerra opened the 9th inning with a 6-pitch walk, bringing Judd Utermark to the plate. He blasted a 404-foot game-tying home run. His career 42nd, moving him into sole possession of third place, trailing only Tim Elko and Kyle Gordon on the all-time home runs list. The 9th inning rally continued as Will Furness knocked a single out into right. Owen Payno drew a walk. Cannon Golden was hit by a pitch to load the bases. Braden Randall got a sacrifice fly to give Ole Miss the lead. And then the Rebels got a base hit from Hayden Federico to score 2 more. 5-2 the final. Rebels get 2 out of 3. Close games in Starkville this weekend, but the Bulldogs came up empty. They lost game 1 10-9. They lost game 2 3-1. And then in game 3, number 4 Mississippi State surged early and battled into extra innings, but number 5 Georgia delivered the decisive blow in the 10th to hand Mississippi State an 8-5 loss in a game that started at 10 o'clock on Saturday morning at Dudy Noble. State got a 2-run home run in the first inning from Ace Reese, added another run in the second inning with Vitas Valencius launching a solo home run. They were up 3-0 after Georgia clawed back and took the lead. State plated a pair of runs in the bottom of the 6th inning to tie the game at 5. That's where it would stay until extra innings. In the 10th, Georgia delivered the knockout punch. A leadoff single and a fielder's choice. A single from Daniel Jackson put 2 on base, and then Michael O'Shaughnessy crushed a 3-run home run to left, giving Georgia an 8-5 advantage. Bulldogs unable to respond in the bottom half of the inning as Georgia's bullpen closed it out to secure the win. Southern Miss got 2 of 3 on the road against Old Dominion this weekend. Won game 1 10-4, lost game 2 10-8. Then Ben Higdon doubled into right, scoring the game-winning run in the top of the 9th as the number 8 Golden Eagles got an 8-7 Sun Belt Conference Series victory on Saturday afternoon at Old Dominion. The Golden Eagles now 23-9 overall. They are 7-5 in the Sun Belt. They won their 3rd straight series in league play. The men's national championship game is tonight, featuring UConn and Michigan. Final 4 on Saturday set up the national championship game. In the first game, Michigan blew out Arizona. 91-73 was the final. In the second game of the night, UConn got hot late and won 71-62. They held off a big rally from the Fighting Illini. And so tonight's matchup has Michigan as a 7.5-point favorite, I believe, in the game against UConn. Michigan, one of the number 1 seeds. UConn was a number 2 seed. Yesterday in women's basketball, you had the national championship game, and it was UCLA smoking South Carolina. 79-51 the final. The 28-point margin of victory was the 3rd largest in Division I women's championship history. UCLA never trailed, opening a double-digit lead at the end of the first quarter en route to its 31st consecutive win. Lauren Betts was named the Final Four's most outstanding player after the game. And finally, for the first time in his career, Rory McIlroy will drive down Magnolia Lane as a Masters champion, and for the first time he won't be carrying the burden of having never won a green jacket as he prepares for the first major championship of this 2026 golf season. Nearly a year ago, he made a 4-foot birdie putt on the 18th hole to defeat Justin Rose on the first hole of a sudden death playoff. Scotty Scheffler is the odds-on favorite, despite not winning this season, followed by Rory, Bryson, and Xander. Tournament begins on Thursday morning, right after the ceremonial opening tee shots. That's your morning sports update, brought to you by Pearl River Resort. We're back with you right after this.
From the Venable Glass Tractor.
Morning, partner.
The sun is up, the coffee is on, and you're starting your day right. Mornings with Richard Cross, here on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Monday morning, it's time for your Mississippi Lottery update on this 6th of April. Alongside Lance Tolbert, I'm Richard Cross. Thanks for joining us. There was no Powerball winner on Saturday night. Tonight's drawing is worth $231 million with an estimated cash value of $105 million. Saturday night's numbers were 3, 6, 13, 41, and 65 with a Powerball of 1 and a Power Play multiplier of 4. Tuesday night, so tomorrow night, you'll have a $100 million Mega Millions drawing with an estimated cash value of $45,300,000. Last week, the lottery claims office paid out $606,000 and change, while retailers paid out a little over $5.3 million. I'll give you a couple of winners. How about a Dauphin Island woman? She was one of the $50,000 winners from Powerball, matching 4 balls plus the Powerball. Bought that one at Keith's Superstore in Loosedale. An Aberdeen man won $100,000 on a $5 cash money scratch-off that he got at Sprint Mart in Aberdeen. And finally, on a $30 Millionaire Maker scratch-off, an Oakville man won $10,000 on a ticket from D&B Discount Tobacco in Collins. That is your Mississippi Lottery update. If you happen to be a lottery winner and you happen to be going to the Masters this week, well, you could buy a lot of concessions with your winnings. The annual update on the Masters concession menu, and very little has changed. You can get an egg salad or a pimento cheese sandwich for $1.50. $3 will get you a chicken salad, Masters Club, or ham and cheese on rye. They've got kind of the morning snacks, $2.50 for a muffin, $1.25 for a banana. You want chips? That'll cost you $1.50. A chocolate chunk cookie is $1.50. The oatmeal raisin cookie is $1.50. The greatest thing on the menu, in my opinion, is the Georgia Peach ice cream sandwich. And it will cost you $3. And it is worth all 300 pennies that you will shell out, I promise you. You can buy an Advil or an Aleve if you need it for 75 cents. And then $2 for all of your drinks, at least all of your non-alcoholic drinks, bottled water. They don't have name brand drinks. They have Masters branded cola and Diet Cola. Bottled iced tea, bottled lemon lime soda, that's Sprite, bottled lemonade, bottled sports drink, some might call that Gatorade or Powerade, and coffee. And I think a beer is $5.
There's some reasonable prices for a Masters, it seems.
Absolutely they are. Now, the Masters makes plenty of money on that. Everything you buy is in, all the sandwiches come in green paper. The souvenir stands, and calling them stands is grossly incompetent. They're not stands. They are now buildings. That's where the money is made. I read a story this weekend. Guy went, he went to work for the Masters as one of their seasonal employees, worked for 10 days, and gave kind of an inside look. Didn't give any secrets away, but gave an inside look. And people are always just foaming at the mouth for information about the Masters because everything is so secretive at Augusta National. They're going to do about $70 million in revenue in merchandise sales at the Masters. And I told you about the Gnomes last week. Some thought that this may be the last year of the Gnomes. And then, let's see, it's tomorrow night. Tomorrow night or Wednesday night? I think it's tomorrow night that you have the Champions Dinner. Rory McIlroy, the reigning champion. Here is his menu. For appetizers, they will have peach and ricotta flatbread, bacon-wrapped dates, rock shrimp tempura, and grilled elk sliders.
So it's not like chicken, steak, or fish choice.
No. The first course will be a yellowfin tuna carpaccio. For the main course, you will have a choice of either a Wagyu filet or seared salmon. The sides are traditional Irish, is that champ? Sautéed Brussels sprouts, glazed carrots with brown butter, and crispy Vidalia onion rings. Dessert will be sticky toffee pudding. And the wine options, and by the way, the champion has to pay for the wine. A 2015 Salon 5 Brut, a 2022 Domaine Laflave, that's a Burgundy, a 1990 Chateau Lafite Rothschild, and a 1989 Chateau d'Aquim, a Bordeaux. All served in honor of Mr. Rory McIlroy, the 2025 Masters champion. 7 o'clock hour is on the way. We'll get to the big story from the weekend. We'll be joined by our first guest, Representative Clay Deweese. He'll join me in studio. The news is next.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers on this show are not the opinions of TeleSouth Communications, its management, or advertisers.
No matter where you're from, Abbeville, Batesville, DeIberville, or any other ville in the SIP, you're starting your day off right. Mornings with Richard Cross. SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Want some whiskey in your water, sugar in your tea? What's all this crazy question they're asking me? This is the craziest party that could ever be.
Welcome to the 7 o'clock hour on this Monday morning, April 6th, of Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi, presented by Community Bank. At Community Bank, we're more than just a place to manage your money. We're your neighbors, your partners, and your trusted financial advisors. For decades, we've been rooted in our community, helping families, small businesses, and individuals achieve their dreams. Whether it's opening your first savings account, planning for a brighter future, or growing your business, we're here every step of the way. We're dedicated to our customers, committed to your success, and always here when you need us. Community Bank, rooted in our community, member FDIC. Thanks for joining us alongside Lance Tolbert. I'm Richard Cross. We would love for you to join the conversation. You may do that on the C Spire text line at 601-879-4395. With C Spire, it's easier than ever to get all the devices you want in one move with the Ultimate Connect bundle. Right now, new and current customers can get a free phone, watch, and tablet, plus 100 gigs of data for just $90. That includes the new iPhone 17 and the Samsung Galaxy S26 for free, and a free smartwatch and tablet to go with it. So don't wait. There's more to see. Visit cspire.com or stop by your local C Spire store today. I think the biggest story of the weekend, it's kind of a two-part story, and it ties to the war in Iran. A fighter jet, United States fighter jet, was shot down over the weekend. An F-15E Strike Eagle. You had a pilot and a weapons officer that was on board. After taking fire, they hit the eject button. Canopy flew off. The pilot was able to get down quickly and was fairly quickly rescued by American forces. The co-pilot, the backseat guy, drifted farther into enemy territory. They were flying well over Iranian territory, a couple hundred miles inland, and he was not immediately found. And as this news came out that an American fighter jet had been shot down, despite the claim of aerial superiority and the ability to fly unencumbered across the Iranian skies, we are reminded that Iran does still have some weapons capability. And there's some thought that Lance, I want to say this the right way, that the missiles that were being fired, the anti-air barrage that came up went undetected because either China or Russia had supplied a satellite blocking system that would allow this to happen. I haven't read enough about that to talk about it in terms that I completely understand it. But the stance of the United States military is nobody gets left behind. And so this aviator, after being ejected and his parachute coming out, he was able to get to the ground and immediately set off the beacon that would show American forces where he was to come rescue him. But then he had to hide because it was abundantly clear that the Iranians were coming after him as well. And he had to get in rocky crevices in a mountainous region, and the signal came and went. It kind of delayed the rescue operation. President Trump posted on Truth Social early on Sunday, "We will never leave an American warfighter behind. This is the first time in military memory that 2 U.S. pilots have been rescued separately deep in enemy territory." The United States and Iran's government were both racing to find the second crew member, a weapons system officer. Neither side knew his exact location. And so the military apparatus of the United States went into full effect. What was it, about 100 total aircraft involved in the search and rescue operation, including a couple of C-130s that landed on an Iranian airstrip that was being used as a forward operating base for the United States within the country of Iran. Problem is, when they tried to take off, their front tire got into some soft area and they couldn't get the nose up. And so those 2 C-130s had to be abandoned. And as part of the rescue operation, and as part of the need to not leave sensitive material, equipment, technology behind, special operations crews blew up those 2 airplanes. The CIA became involved, and they put out information that, if you followed along, the United States didn't really say anything other than a plane was shot down for 24 hours. And the idea was if Iran didn't know for sure that there were 2 of them, and one of them had been captured, there was no reason to let them know that there were 2 of them. The CIA involvement had to do with kind of a disinformation campaign. CIA spread word in Iran that the U.S. had found the pilot who was down and they were moving him by ground to get him out of the country. The confusion allowed the CIA time to uncover the location of the service member who had not yet been found. This wounded pilot had climbed to 7,000 feet despite being injured. The aviator's coordinates went to the Pentagon and the White House, and Trump ordered the rescue operation. And oh, by the way, the first round of helicopters that went in to try and get him, those got shot up as well. So fast forward to Easter Sunday morning. This is where it kind of gets complicated. Was this just Trump reaching his tipping point with Iran in general? Or was his anger over the plane being shot down and the rescue operation what pushed him over the edge? A Truth Social post yesterday morning, a time that you would expect a president to tweet something about Easter, to post something about Easter, to wish people a happy Easter, to talk about our freedom to worship in the United States, perhaps to mention the resurrection of Jesus. You know, the thing that you would expect the President of the United States to tweet or post on Easter morning. Instead, he posted this. I promise you I will edit it, unlike a lot of the news outlets did. Trump posted yesterday, Tuesday will be Power Plant Day and Bridge Day, all wrapped up in one in Iran. There will be nothing like it. Open the expletive straight, you crazy expletives, or you're going to be living in hell. Just watch. And then he throws a little sarcasm at the end when he says, praise be to Allah, President Donald J. Trump. There are a lot of people that hit the wrong way. But is there method to the madness? Some would argue 4D chess. There have been stories that have been written. Trump has tried to prop those stories up about how unpredictable he is. Some say that's just a way to cover him changing his mind and changing the deadlines because he doesn't really want to follow through with some of the threats that he makes. Others say it is all about unpredictability and 4D chess. You have members of Congress saying he is unhinged and absolutely crazy and the 25th Amendment should be invoked, which is rich considering the previous president and his lack of capacity. And then, oh, by the way, there was the crazy online rumor that was pushed by the left over the weekend that Donald Trump had been taken to Walter Reed Medical Center because the White House kind of went dark in terms of communications. They said Trump would not be available for any comments, and his schedule was tightened. Well, that was kind of when the White House went into hibernation mode and said, we're not talking about this until we get our guy. Wild story from the weekend. Representative Clay Deweese will join me next.
From the Venable Glass Traffic.
All right, now to the important stuff.
Your VIP pass to hear what the most influential Mississippians are talking about.
This is very important. Huge news.
Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi.
Welcome in. It is Mornings with Richard Cross, Super Talk, Mississippi, on this Monday morning, the day after Easter, and just a couple of days removed from sine die in the legislature, at least sine die for now. Glad to be with you this morning alongside Lance Tolbert. I'm Richard Cross. Mornings with Richard Cross presented by Community Bank. I am happy to have the rare in my home studio guest, Representative Clay Deweese, who lives down the road. This was easier than going to Jackson or jumping on a phone call. Good morning.
That's right. Thank you, Richard. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me over to the studio. Always good to be with you. Happy Easter to you and your family. I hope you had a good Easter, and to all your listeners out there, I hope everyone had a wonderful Easter this past weekend.
You as well. I know it was nice to be home. Sine die for now. What is the likelihood that you and your colleagues have to go back to the Capitol? I guess on paper that could still happen on April 15th.
That's right, Richard. As is done in most sessions, we tend to extend the session on paper just to for safety precautions, honestly, see what happens, see if we do need to go back for any reason. So that date would be at the latest April 15th.
Tax day.
We'll see. We'll see if we're back down there on the 15th.
What would be left to deal with? The Lieutenant Governor talked about just ancillary measures, loose ends, things that didn't get done. Are there specific items that might be on the agenda if that happens?
I don't know of anything specifically on the agenda that could be done. There's obviously the discussion of a PBM resolution potentially, so we'll see how that goes. I know the speakers alluded to the potential to come back to maybe deal with that if a resolution can be reached amongst all parties. So we'll see how that goes. But as far as going back on the 15th, no real agenda to have to go back. We'll just, again, as the Lieutenant Governor said, just some cleanup things if needed.
So there was discussion about a special session within the session. Could that be what this is? You could go back without the governor having to call a May, June, July special session, but this could still happen within this particular time frame?
I would think to do what the intent of the special session, a special would still need to be called on that issue.
Okay.
So no, I don't believe this has anything to do with that. It's just, again, as the Lieutenant Governor alluded to, just some cleanup stuff if we need to go back and do it.
So let's talk a little bit more about PBM reform, because that is a complicated issue. Like pharmacy benefit managers, just in and of themselves, the way they operate, it's a complicated process. In terms of the solution, there seems to be kind of two camps there. You've got the independent pharmacies and pharmacists, their association, that want a more level playing field. But you've also got the business community that is looking at the cost related to this and what might get handed off to them and what ultimately might get passed along to the consumer. As you guys have studied that issue in particular, what's there that people need to hear, that people need to know?
Richard, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know all the ins and outs of the PBM discussion. I know that Chairman Zuber has been very involved in that. I know the House passed a bill earlier in the session that my understanding was a compromise amongst all parties. There was an amendment made in the Senate, came back to us that just wasn't gonna fly, I suppose. And now we're back to the drawing board to see where we can go with that.
This year's session has been described as one that got off to a fast start, and then it felt like it kind of bogged down in the middle, and then it was like a sprint to the finish. And I don't know if that's any different than every year. It felt a little bit different this year. Did it feel to you in real time like the relationship between the House and the Senate got more icy than it normally does, but then kind of thawed toward the end, and there was some collaboration and some working together?
Well, Richard, you and I talked about this a couple of weeks ago. I think that might be your assessment of the session.
I know you guys that have to work the whole time, you're still doing stuff behind the scenes.
No, I think it was just fast-paced the entire time, especially, you're right, towards the end there it really ramps up. And getting the budget done, which I have a role. Speaker has entrusted me to do a lot of the appropriation work, and it did. It really got ramped up and moving quickly there towards the end. As far as the relationship between the House and Senate, I will tell you that's one thing I'm proud of this year is we were committed to make sure that we got the work of the taxpayers done, and we did it efficiently. We did it quickly. We worked well together to make sure that was accomplished, and that's something that I'm very proud of that we were able to accomplish this year.
In terms of the budget process, how much work has to be done independently on the House side and the Senate side compared to the collaboration that has to happen in putting together a project that both sides are going to be able to come together on?
Yeah, so as you know, there's multiple budgets across the state, and the agencies will come in, or the boards and commissions will come in to a House hearing as well as a Senate hearing. They'll give their reports on what their needs are. We'll compare notes. The Senate may have a different plan than the House has. For instance, we'll take the teacher pay raise, for instance. The Senate's plan was a little different than the House's plan. So when we go into negotiations, we're trying to figure out what it is that we can reasonably do and afford to do. And that's where the discussions come in as to as to what the final budget is going to play out as. So there's a lot of early in the session, each chamber getting their plan together, and then towards the end you come together and start negotiating out the budget and see where we land.
What goes into the budget process that people don't know about or people don't understand?
One of the major things that goes into the budget process that we have to wait on, that's why this takes to the end of the year, is seeing what general bills may pass. As you know, the place operates on deadlines, so as we get to each deadline, we've got to see what general legislation is passed and what that may do to affect the budget. I know all of our appropriations chairs on the House side, and I'm sure on the Senate side, are watching those general bills very closely to see what that's going to cost us. I don't know that the general public is really seeing that part of it as to how it affects the budget. But every general bill that's passed that has any money involved in it certainly affects the budget. We can only spend a certain amount of money, and we've got to work within those parameters and figure out what we can do.
Yeah, Democrats had a press conference on Thursday at the Capitol, and we outlined some of the concerns that they had, and they talked about the ballot initiative process, not enough money going into medical care, roadblocks to restoring suffrage, appropriations related to historically black universities, reduction of child care. And I don't know that any of those issues in and of themselves are wrong or wrong to be for. In fact, I don't think they are. But I'm curious, like especially with the funding on child care. Last year, the legislature allocated, kind of stood by and filled the gap to the tune of about $15 million. This year said, no, we can't do that. Is that a function of the additional costs related to Medicaid or just general priorities?
Yeah, Richard, as you've seen what's happening in D.C. and more responsibilities being put on the states, that's one of those areas where the state has to pick up more of the responsibility for child care. Last year, the decision was made to help kind of bring that back a little bit. We were able to do an additional $15 million last year for some child care slots. Unfortunately, that was not available again this year. As you saw, our Medicaid budget really ate up a lot of our budget, over $200 million in an increased Medicaid budget. So as you see those things happen with the federal government pushing more down to the states, unfortunately, we can only spend so much. There's only so much money to go around, and that's just one of the things that we just didn't get to.
Visiting with Representative Clay Deweese. He represents District 12, that is Lafayette County, in his second term in the House. He's chair of Appropriations C. Is that right?
That's correct.
Appropriation. What's the difference in A, B, C, and D?
Yeah.
Just broken up in terms of.
As I told you earlier, there are many budgets that we have to get through, and the Speaker decided to. Our Appropriations Chairman, Chairman John Reed, has been with us a long time and is doing a great job. And the four of us, Representative Bounds, Mims, Oliver, and myself, have been able to learn under Chairman Reed. We've been tasked with the responsibility of each of us has a section of budgets to address, and it's worked well. We've worked diligently and worked well together to make sure that we've come up with a budget and got out of there on time.
During our news headlines this morning, we had the story about the governor vetoing the rural health care transformation program. That was a Hobb Bryan bill, and it's one that was passed with all but 5 votes in the House, and it was passed unanimously in the Senate. The governor talked about this was going to mess up funding and could delay funding and potentially keep $1 billion out of the state's coffers over the next 5 years coming from Washington. How does that happen where the legislature is almost unanimously on board with a particular bill, and then it gets to the governor's desk and he's like, absolutely not?
You'd have to ask the governor how that happens. I think that's his prerogative. That's too
sanitized of an answer.
That's the executive branch. And
do you have an inkling, though, when a bill gets passed like that it's going to be a complete no-go at the governor's mansion?
I'm not aware of those that it's getting vetoed as soon as it goes. I think that when we pass a bill, our as you see with the vote, the intent of that is to pass and have the governor's signature and become law. The governor, I suppose, on this one, as with others, has had different plans for that, and we'll just have to see where it goes from here.
Got more coming up with Representative Clay Deweese. Mornings with Richard Cross, Super Talk, Mississippi, with you on this Monday morning, the 6th of April. Quick time out. We're back with more right after this.
From the Seabrook.
Mornings with Richard Cross is brought to you by Covington County Hospital in Collins, where your health matters.
Wake up, get up, and start your day right with Mornings with Richard Cross here on Super Talk, Mississippi.
No sleep till
Good to be with you on this Monday morning. It's Mornings of Richard Cross, SuperTalk Mississippi, streaming at supertalk.fm. JT Mitchell will join us about 8:30 this morning. We'll talk about some of the news headlines from the weekend and look ahead to this week. I had people that kept asking me last week, hey, are you ready for the legislative session to be over? And I was like, absolutely not. This is great in terms of content, but I may be the only person that wasn't ready for you ladies and gentlemen to head home for a little while.
Well, Richard, we'll just have to find you some more content because we are glad to be out of the Capitol for a little while, get back home, back to our families, our jobs, and we'll find you some content. We'll see what's going on. There's plenty coming up this summer, I'm sure.
I would imagine your wife and kids were glad to see you.
They're excited that Dad's home for sure.
That's outstanding. One of the big issues that we had to work through, I guess it's been maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago now, was the revolving loan fund for cities and counties dealing with storm damage, significant storm damage. And there was this back and forth about the interest rate. Ultimately, the House and the Senate came to an agreement on that. They have sent that to the governor's desk. What is the status at this point?
Yeah, Richard, I'm glad you brought that up. That seems like forever ago that our community was devastated by Winter Storm Fern. Certainly wasn't on the bingo card for the session when we went in.
My kids were talking about that yesterday. They're like, when did that happen? That wasn't like 3 weeks ago? It was like, no, it was like 2.5 months ago.
It's been a while ago, and riding over here this morning to your studio, there's still piles and piles of limbs across our community. As you know, our city and county was certainly hit very hard, along with many others in northeast Mississippi. As you're aware, we came up with a revolving loan program, a zero-interest loan for damages that were FEMA reimbursable to our cities and counties to help them go ahead and get this cleanup started. Unfortunately, that made it across the finish line in the House and the Senate. There was an issue with the interest rate as it pertains to items that were not reimbursable by FEMA. The governor decided to veto that bill.
And let's pause there just for a second if we can, because the Senate and the House, you and others that were involved in the writing of that bill were, I shouldn't say you were, I'll ask, were you under the impression all along that you were talking about a 1% interest loan?
Our intentions, and Scott Delano on the Senate side, he and I worked very closely to get this done. Our intentions were not to have a 1% monthly interest rate on anything not reimbursable by FEMA. That change was made. Again, the governor decided to veto the bill, and that was his decision, his prerogative. As I said when it happened, I may not agree with it, but I'll respect it. And we were able to find another way to get a bill out. It's due back from the governor tomorrow. I think that's House Bill 1646. It's due back from the governor tomorrow. Go ahead and get this. $125 million is what we put in that loan fund, revolving loan fund. Go ahead and get this money to our cities and counties. They're hurting. Again, as I said earlier, there's still piles and piles of limbs laying around. It's just amazing that it's been this long since the storm. We still have this cleanup to do. So,
kind of shows the massive destruction and devastation that went along with it. But the idea all along was to provide a low-cost, low-interest loan program that cities and counties could draw on to give themselves a buffer until FEMA reimbursement money came in.
That's correct. It's extremely expensive. The cleanup is extremely expensive. I'll speak for our city and county. I think it's somewhere north of $50 million for just the debris cleanup. So very, very expensive, devastating to some of our smaller towns and counties for sure. So we're excited to get this out. Again, due back from the governor tomorrow. Look forward to his signature tomorrow, and we can get this program rolling.
So that's all we're waiting on. And you would think that the governor would be on board with this? It would seem to make sense.
Yeah, I certainly hope so. Again, we've been devastated in North Mississippi. It's hard to believe that ice could do so much damage, but it has, and something that needs to be addressed. I'm very, very grateful to all our House and Senate members across the state. They've been nothing but kind to us through this entire thing, from the coast to the Tennessee line, east to west. It's really, really grateful for the outpouring support that the members of the legislature have had.
C-Spire text line, somebody said that's a 12% loan. That's not cheap. Well, that was the whole holdup in all of this. It was the language in the bill. The intent all along was for it to be a 1 or 2 or 3% low-cost loan, not a 12% loan. And I think that's ultimately where they landed.
I guess
the final terms were.
I guess I should clarify that, Richard. It is a 0% loan on items that are reimbursable by FEMA, and we settle on a 3% annual interest rate on anything that's not reimbursable by FEMA,
which is a lower interest rate than you can get at a
That's
bank.
correct.
So, you are on the Colleges and Universities Committee in the House. When the final budget came out, I would anticipate that the reaction from a lot of the people in Oxford, a lot of people in Starkville and Hattiesburg as well, not to mention some of our other colleges and universities, was mostly positive from some of the allocations that were made for them.
Yeah, I believe so, Richard. IHL is not one of the budgets that I handle. Chairman Oliver handles that budget on the House side, but he and I work closely to make sure things are addressed. We did. There was a large investment this year in our colleges and universities, in addition to the teacher pay raise of $2,000 that went all the way through junior colleges and to IHL as well. And then on top of that, there were some investments made above and beyond the typical R&R. I know that at Mississippi State, we funded the remainder of the vet school, another project they have on the coast. I think we did $20 or $30 million to Southern Mississippi. Commitment to Ole Miss for the accounting school that is much needed. Again, some money for Jackson State, Valley, Alcorn, the W. Everybody received money above and beyond what they were of the R&R that they expected, and obviously the big one that
the crown jewel on this.
Certainly excited to get across the finish line was the commitment from the state for $100 million to a state-of-the-art cancer center at the University of Mississippi Medical Center. So certainly proud of that one, and I know Dr. Woodward and Jones and all those down at UMC are just excited and elated and can't wait to get this project off the ground.
So that strikes me as one that falls under universities and colleges and the collegiate discussion, but in reality, that is not money that you're just handing to a school. This is money that's being allocated, in my view, and you tell me if I'm wrong on this, for the state of Mississippi and for the people of Mississippi in terms of the awful outcomes related to cancer. Our rates, unfortunately, are on the wrong end of the spectrum of where we'd like for them to be in the state.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more, Richard. You've had Dr. Woodward on here many times, and she has told you about the cancer outcomes, the awful cancer outcomes that we have across the state of Mississippi, and this is an investment in Mississippi. This is something that will move Mississippi forward. It's just it's absolutely wonderful to see that this is finally getting done. A lot of hard work has gone into this. I know that the university has raised well over $100 million, the state's commitment for an additional $100 million, and that's one time. That's not over a course of years. The state committed $100 million this year to the University of Mississippi Medical Center, and this is something that they have been planning for a long time, and we're just grateful to have a small part of it and excited for them.
Do you get to do one of those cardboard checks for that?
I have said, Richard, I think we all need a big old cardboard check in the back of our cars to go around and maybe write out maybe like a dry erase or something that we could do. That'd be kind of neat.
Take these to the cities. Some pretty good photo ops that might go along with that. There is a larger IHL discussion about performance-based funding.
Yep.
And I know you said just a second ago you're not on the IHL board. Your colleague who represents this area, Nicole Boyd, is. It's something that she's talked about a lot. What is the appetite that you sense within the legislature for continuing to look at this IHL performance-based funding formula?
Yeah, I know Senator Boyd has been engaged in this over the past couple of years, and others in the legislature as well. It's something that has to be addressed. The Speaker is committed to looking at that over the summer and have discussions and conversations about what we can do, how we can make this fair and equitable to everybody. Again, Senator Boyd has really carried the flag on this and is doing a great job. These are not easy discussions. They're hard conversations to have, but we need to do what's in the best interest of our students that are enrolling in these universities and make sure that they're coming out with opportunities to move forward in life. And I know those discussions are being had, and certainly thank Senator Boyd for her efforts and leadership in this effort.
Clay Deweese, representative from District 12. We will wait and see if there is more to come with the legislature. Sounds like that could be the case, but we'll have to wait until the Speaker and the Lieutenant Governor make that announcement officially.
Well, we certainly hope that we're home for a little while, but if we've got to go back, we'll do what we got to do.
Maybe it'll be brief.
I hope so.
Appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you, Richard. Great to be here.
Mornings with Richard Cross, Super Talk, Mississippi. Clay Deweese, my guest. We will take a time out. Some of you don't agree. C-Spire text line, get off the performance-based boondoggle. That will be a biased political mess. No way to make it fair and equitable. No way. That's right. We should get off that. We should not expect our colleges and universities to produce graduates and produce people who can work in the jobs that are needed in Mississippi. You're right. We should give that up completely.
From the Venable Glass Traffic Center.
You're waking up to what's happening. Mornings with Richard Cross. Right now on Super Talk, Mississippi.
Good to be with you this morning. Sorry if that made you dizzy if you were watching on Super Talk TV, trying to get the camera back fixed. I got to get my camera situation better for an in-studio guest. No, that wasn't the best. Representative Deweese said, well, how often do you have a in-studio guest? And I was like, well, you. That seems to be it.
Special chair over there just for Clay.
That's right. That's right. Honestly, the reason I have two chairs in this office is because I was cleaning out a storage unit.
What do I do with this thing?
It's like, I guess I could put that in my office. So here it is.
At least you didn't have to squat, you know. So.
Yeah, that would have been awkward. Glad to be with you this morning. Mornings of Richard Cross, Super Talk, Mississippi. 7 o'clock hour is brought to you by MWG Employer Services. Running a business is tough, and if you're struggling with HR, benefits, and payroll, you're not alone. That's where MWG Employer Services comes in. They can provide a full range of employer services plus a custom plan that fits you. Give them a call today, 601-206-7966, or go to mwgemployerservices.com. All right, so I gave kind of a sarcastic response to that message before the break, but
I was hoping you were going back there.
Oh, let's come back and talk about that for a second. Let me read the message. This is on the C-Spire text line, 601-879-4395. Right now at C-Spire, new and current customers can get a free phone, watch, and tablet plus 100 gigs of data just for $90, or for just $90. There's more to see. Visit cspire.com today. Here's the message. Get off the performance-based boondoggle. That will be a biased political mess. No way to make it fair and equitable. No way. Al, is that you that sent that? G, is that you? Let's take that line by line. Get off the performance-based boondoggle. Is it a boondoggle? Is it? That will be a biased political mess. You want to take a look at the IHL board right now? The most significant control within the membership lies with people with ties to Mississippi State. The president of the board of IHL is a Southern Miss guy. The incoming president of the board at IHL is a Jackson State guy. That seems reasonably spread out to me. Remember that IHL members are appointed by the governor, and they have rotating terms. So let's go to the next line in your text. No way to make it fair and equitable. Is that our goal? I thought we had kind of left DEI policies behind, recognizing that that's not really the right way to go. Because remember, equality and equity are not the same thing. Not the same thing. So what is the idea behind performance-based funding? Because this is going to be a biased political mess, writes this person who obviously does not sign their name to it. What does it mean? Well, first of all, if you really study the formula, you know that nobody is getting cut completely out. And nobody is going to get immediately cut. How do things work in your job? Maybe you have a job where it doesn't really matter if you actually do your job, and you can just keep going in every day and keep getting the same paycheck, and you can punch the clock at 8, and you can punch the clock at 5, and you can take your hour lunch break, and you take your PTO, and you don't really care what anybody thinks because you're not getting fired. I suppose those jobs exist. Or do you work for a company where you are expected to do the job that you are assigned to do? You have certain responsibilities. Your job is to make sure those responsibilities are covered, that the outcomes that you produce are beneficial for your employer, for the company for which you work. And if you don't do that, there are consequences, maybe staggered consequences or stair-step consequences that ultimately end in termination. Why should we not treat our universities that way? Your job is to educate students. Your job is to graduate students. Your job is to put students into the workforce and give them a return on the investment, and it is an investment that they are making in themselves. And if you're not meeting any of those metrics, why should you continue to get state funds?
Waking up Mississippi. From South Haven to Scuba, it's Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi.
8 o'clock hour. Good morning to you. Thanks for joining us as we start a new week. Today is April 6th, 2026. Alongside Lance Tolbert, I'm Richard Cross. This is Mornings with Richard Cross, presented by Community Bank. At Community Bank, we're here for every part of your financial journey. Looking to manage your personal finances, our banking services make it simple, secure, and tailored to you. Ready to grow your business? We offer expert guidance and custom solutions to help your business thrive. Dreaming of a new home? Our mortgage specialists are here to make the process seamless, all designed with you in mind. We're more than just a bank. We're your partner for life's biggest moments. Community Bank, rooted in our community. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. The C Spire text line is open, 601-879-4395. Love to hear from you this morning. Lance, we talked a little at the beginning of the 7 o'clock hour about the fighter jet that was shot down in Iran over the weekend. Yeah. And, man, you want to talk about a mix of, wait, I thought Iran had no ability to shoot our airplanes, and, ooh, that's scary. This could have been really bad had that pilot been captured. Wait, what? We blew up 2 of our own planes to make sure that they didn't get any of our technology, and, oh, by the way, our special ops forces are some bad, bad dudes, and they prove it every time they are called upon. It's like all of that rolled into one.
It's amazing. The complexity of the operation of recovery was just outrageous. The other side of it, though, was the gentleman, the weapons expert that was hiding in crags of rocks, and 7,000 feet up he climbed to get to a spot where he could get away from the basic rednecks and hillbillies that had been called out in their 1983 Tommy Hilfiger shirts and blue jeans, running around with like bolt action guns looking for this guy, because that's what the RGC said. Hey, you guys get out there and go find him for us. So seeing the images of the crews of just regulars out looking around for the guy, it's an amazing accomplishment in my mind that he was not captured, because they had, I'm talking about hillbillies, buddy, out looking for this guy.
Well, there was a news report. Hold on a second. Let me put air quotes. A news report, a propaganda report on the news for the Iranian people. Go find them. And if you find them, hold them. And there will be a significant prize for you, I believe is the way it was described. Yeah, it was get your goats out and go search.
Yeah, I've never seen that many 1980s, Hilfiger shirts and polos, worn out in the mountains. That was just, I was like, wow. As you mentioned, to start this, being told, hey, we've got complete air superiority. Well, we might have before China and Russia started dumping, things in there that allowed Iran to have a little bit more moxie, so to speak. But yeah, my hat's off to the
doubt that that's happening?
Oh, it's got to be. It's got to be. And, maybe Iran has, some type of bunker 500 feet or so below where they've got a bunch of rockets and stuff. And I'm sure they do. Their capabilities with rockets and drones are, second to none, as we know. They love throwing those things around and been making a lot of them. But the radar jamming systems and things that would allow you to lock on to an F-15, something like that, very different. And they have not had that capability.
No, they have not.
So you got to ask yourself, where does it come from?
And I'm not sure that they've got a bunker 500 feet under the ground that's got a massive weapons stockpile, and they just have been choosing not to shoot them all.
Yeah, I'm not saying they do. It wouldn't surprise me if they have something where there's something hidden and they've got a few more rockets there than we thought. But no, the capability of doing what they did over the weekend is not something they've possessed up until maybe a few days ago.
So the legislative session is mostly over. I think if you're reading between the lines, you recognize, you don't even have to read between the lines. When Delbert Hosemann said, we'll probably see you again soon, he wouldn't have thrown that out if he didn't expect to see them again soon. What some people call the Christmas tree bill, special projects, community bill, however you want to describe it, ended up being about $253 million. That is the last thing, almost the last thing that happens before sine die in the Capitol when everybody goes home, and that's with some amount of money allocated. I don't think it's fair to say leftover. I think it's better to say allocated. Members are able to jockey for money for their districts. And the more, let's just call it like it is. It's one of the times where it's good to be a committee chair. It's good to be on the team that has the advantage. Democrats have pushed back a little bit and said, well, this didn't get spread around very well. Well, elections have consequences. And so when there is extra money and the legislature gets to decide where the extra money goes, it's kind of how it works. Within the Christmas tree bill, local improvements project fund, you got $13 million for improvements at LaFleur's Bluff State Park. $10 million for the Vicksburg Civil War Visitor Interpretive Center. Rankin County got the Highway 18 railroad crossing flyover bridge at a cost of $10 million. IHL capital improvements, $20 million to Mississippi State for South Campus Mechanical Plant. $11.5 million to MUW for Old Pole Gym renovation. It's POHL. $10 million to Ole Miss for construction or partial construction on the School of Accountancy. That, by the way, is going to be a really important project at Ole Miss. If I think I'm correct on this, it's going to go at the corner of University Avenue and Grove Loop and will be kind of a welcome to campus building. And the university's accounting school is just, they've done a phenomenal job. They're placing graduates. They are highly ranked nationally. And that's going to be a big deal. $7 million for residence halls at Valley. $6.8 million for building repairs at Delta State. $6 million to Alcorn State. $6 to Jackson State. Another $4 to Jackson State for a new dining facility. $1.3 for Alcorn State for a poultry science research center. Junior colleges across the state of Mississippi, community colleges and junior colleges got between $2.2 and $3.9 million for capital improvements. Some of these are interesting to just kind of look at what's assigned. Holmes County State Park got $4 million. Tupelo got $2.2 million for a new fire station and emergency command center. I'm sure that is an in-part contribution. Carroll County, $1.5 million for road infrastructure improvements. Ocean Springs, $1.5 million for water, sewer, drainage, and downtown improvements. $1.5 million to Innovate Mississippi. Batesville got $1 million for the extension of Covenant Drive. $1 million to Oxford for North Lamar Boulevard expansion and repair. Sewer and Lagoon project in Starkville, $1 million. I mean, it goes on and on, like county by county. There are 37 pages of dollars allocated to local improvements project funds. And everybody needs them. Like, this is a big deal that it goes to all of them. Road project, bridge project, rehabilitation of a building, all those things. But that's the way that it gets distributed. So when we come back, before we visit with JT, let's take a look at almost a post-mortem on the 2026 legislative session. What lived? What died? Anything still on life support? And what has a chance to come back from the dead next year? Is the school choice conversation going anywhere? I think that's an interesting question going forward. As the House continues to be for it and the Senate continues not to be, where that school choice conversation is going into the future. Advocates of universal school choice say we're not going to stop fighting. Is the fighting in vain? We're back with you after this. Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk, Mississippi. Thanks for joining us on this Monday.
From the Venable Glass Traffic.
Want to know what's happening in Mississippi politics?
Yes.
You're in the right place. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Thanks for joining us. It is Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi. Glad to have you along for the ride. You want to join the conversation? Love to hear from you on the C Spire text line, 601-879-4395. Sports Talk Mississippi will be at Scruggs Farm, Lawn and Garden in Saltillo on Wednesday for their Drive Green Spring Sales event. Check out their green savings on John Deere zero-turn mowers, 0% for 36 months. Gators with 1.9% for 39 months. Compact tractors, 0% for 72 months. That's 6 years you can pay on it with no interest. And other great deals. Learn more about them. Sports Talk Mississippi on Wednesday at Scruggs Farm, Lawn and Garden in Saltillo.
Hey, bud, when you go over there, make sure you go in and fill up the truck before you buy, your tractor. It's just much easier to get it back home. I know you're pulling into the gas station and trying to fill up the truck after you've bought the tractor, and going and get all that done.
You don't think I can pull a trailer?
Yeah, I'm not sure yet, man. I know you're still eyeballing that thing, so I'm hoping you come back with it this time.
I mean, I have to make a special trip over. That'll be Haydad and Borky over there, but It might be worth riding over to see.
0%? Come on, man.
Free money.
Yeah, free money, Cross. Obi, would be so happy if you brought that home.
Oh, yeah. Yes, he would. Middays with Gerard Gibbert will be live on Thursday from the South Highland Colony Parkway in Ridgeland. The Madison County Economic Development Authority will be discussing how they recruit and retain industries in the area, helping create thousands of jobs and billions in investments. They got it going on in Madison County. You can learn more about that on Thursday, Middays with Gerard Gibbert. JT Mitchell will join us coming up in just a few minutes, and we always look forward to our visits with JT. He wants to talk a little bit about the Masters.
Ooh.
I wonder on board with that.
Yeah, I wonder, what he out of all the concessions, which one that he would go to first? Egg salad sandwich.
What would it be for you?
Man, I don't know, that pimento for like $1 or $2.
$1.50.
Yeah, probably stack up on a couple of those.
$1.50.
And then save room for the beer. Obviously, that's a little
peach more. Ice cream sandwich is the only correct answer.
Well, I mean, I'm going with that as the finale, man.
I know you go with that with the beginning and the end.
Okay,
it's not just a one thing.
I love an ice cream sandwich too, but as you described that one, man, it just really kind of gets my taste buds a rolling.
It's the the soft vanilla exterior wafer with peach ice cream with the chunks in it. Chunks of peach.
Oh, nice. Somebody's going all out on that.
Oh. And a little thicker than your average peach ice cream sandwich.
You get your money's worth.
Yeah. And when I say like the vanilla wafer, it's more of it's almost like a sugar cookie exterior.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm in, man.
All right. What lived and what died this year in the legislature? We know that the version of school choice that the House and the governor were pushing for, universal school choice, did not make it. We did not, however, go without anything related to education. In fact, as we've pointed out a number of times, K through 12 education makes up a little over $3 billion in the state budget. So there's a lot of money that is going toward education. School choice, dead for now. Teacher pay raise, $2,000. And that's $2,000 from your kindergarten teacher all the way through your college professor. A lot of money allocated for raises. I got the impression that there were some people that were fairly off-put by the reaction from some on the teacher pay raise. I understand the frustration as legislators were kind of volleying back and forth some different ideas. $2,000. No, $5,000. No, $6,000. 2,000. How dare you talk about it publicly and then you come away with this? Well, which do we want? Do we want the legislature to just operate behind closed doors and then just at the end be like, hey, here you go, here's a $2,000 raise, and you have no idea what's going on? Or do you want the transparency that goes along with really everything that they say at the legislature is in the public domain, and if you really want to do it, you get to watch how the sausage is made? I think we all want the transparency. But with transparency, you have to realize there's going to be back and forth. There's going to be, we do it this way, no, we do it this way. Well, yeah, we all agree we want to do it this way. Yeah, but we can't afford to, and we're going to have to do it this way. And then the reality of what you can actually afford sets in. But there were a lot of people that work in state government at all the different levels that heard the loud and public complaints, and there were some legislators that heard the loud and public complaints about a $2,000 pay raise, and they're like, hey, maybe you should say thank you, because you want to compare the last time you got a raise versus the last time I got a raise? I'm just saying that that sentiment was out there, and it grew and it grew. And ultimately, again, teachers from kindergarten all the way through your college professor got $2,000 pay raises. What else? We've got... And Medicaid is just the gift that keeps on giving right now. $1.17 billion to fund Mississippi's division of Medicaid. It's the second largest expense. Medicaid initially requested $390 million more in state funding year over year. There was a $160 million discrepancy between the agency's request and a November budget proposal from the governor, and that was part of the reason that lawmakers were kind of confused on that. Ultimately, they got a $165 million increase year over year. One of the reasons that more people didn't get raises, one of the reasons that teachers didn't get bigger raises, one of the reasons that more projects didn't get funded is because Medicaid went up $165 million, and you have no choice but to pay for Medicaid as a state. You got to do it. No reform on prison health care. This was one of those bills that originated on the House side of things and died with the Senate. Becky Curry is the House Corrections Chairwoman. She was trying to get a number of bills across the House floor, proposal to make sure that prisoners get the health care that they need while being incarcerated. But on the Senate side of things, in the Corrections Committee, you had Lydia Chasinaw, who was filling in for Chairman Juan Barnett in his absence with an illness, saying that she was doing as Barnett would have wanted. Becky Curry, when it was all said and done, said, next year is the last year of the term. I'm looking forward, not backward. I've tried hard. It's very frustrating, but all we can do is look forward. We have to fix this. Saying that she is going to continue to fight for health care for prisoners. Legalized mobile sports betting died again. There was a proposal from the House. They took a little bit different tact this year, saying that collected tax proceeds from legalized sports betting would help go to fund the unfunded liability for PERS and would have required the state to make a one-time big transfusion, $600 million into the PERS system. It's a back and forth. The House has been for it, 3 years in a row? And the Senate keeps saying no.
From the Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Welcome to the show.
Back with you, MRC, on this Monday morning. A little less than half an hour remaining, and always glad to be joined by the SuperTalk Mississippi news team news director, JT Mitchell. JT, I hope you had a wonderful weekend. Family, friends, Easter, celebrating all of the things.
I had a great weekend, Richard. How about you?
It was outstanding.
I
got a lot done in the yard.
Yeah, I tried to yesterday. I kind of have a bone to pick with you, though. Have you checked our bracket challenge?
I paid.
Oh, I'm not worried about your money right now. I'm hoping your money will be my money, but have you seen where you and I stand?
I have not. I do know that I picked Michigan to win it all, and they're still alive. I think that's the only redeeming quality for my bracket.
If Michigan wins tonight, you win.
Really?
If UConn wins tonight, I win.
How about that?
And so
you sent out an email that said not only is it Good Friday, it's Collections Friday. If you haven't paid, send this in. I was just waiting on a Venmo address. You didn't include that initially.
Oh, I'm pretty sure it's in there. But
whatever.
Okay. Well, I got your money, and I hope that it stays my money. I think the good news is, though, either way, we each get some money.
Well, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. You do call games for ESPN, and you're the only person to pick Michigan in our challenge. So if Michigan wins, I may allege collusion.
I think you will see I had Michigan playing Duke in the national championship game, which is decidedly not part of the equation.
Oh, they gotta throw us off somehow.
Yeah.
Hey, that Fab Five broadcast was pretty cool the other night.
I watched very little basketball this weekend.
Too busy in the yard.
Yeah, I just kind of moved on to baseball.
Yeah. And man, that was not on my bingo card for.
And trying to get right for the Masters.
Trying to get right for the Masters is right. First off, not on my bingo card for Mississippi State to get swept. Tough series there, but at least we have the Masters to look forward to. One of your favorite times of the year.
Mm-hmm.
So I heard y'all asking about my snack at the Masters.
Yeah.
What I would get. So initially, I'm a big pimento cheese guy. I'm going to get pimento cheese. But I'm also a friend of Richard Cross, and I trust Richard Cross. And so I guess if I was there today for the practice round, what I would get, appetizer, the peach ice cream sandwich. Entree, pimento cheese sandwich. Dessert, peach ice cream sandwich. Let it rock.
I like that. And all of that would cost you a grand total of $7.50.
That's true, but then if I buy a hat, I go bankrupt.
Well, yeah.
When you got hair like that, you don't need a hat, man.
Or a nice shirt.
Yeah, go with the shirt.
Well, fortunately, one of my former teammates and roommate in college, he's from Augusta. And so he grew up around the tournament, worked for the tournament, used to cook for the tournament. And so he sends me gear here and there, and I get free gear. And at least I have that going for me. I texted him yesterday, and I said, it's that time, man. And he said, yeah, I haven't had a chance to think today. I've been cooking, and I will be cooking from now until Sunday. So
So I'll get back to you when it's convenient for me.
That's pretty much
Until
so.
then, just pipe down, JT.
And he actually him and his family used to cook for the tournament. So everything we're talking about, right? But then they found out that the cheat code is all of these players who are rich and have won a bunch of tournament money, they bring in their families, they house their families around Augusta. And if you can get contracted to cook for the families, that's how you can get rich.
Yeah. The entire hospitality industry, or I should say like the off the radar hospitality industry surrounding the Masters is insane.
Well,
you have the stuff that the Masters endorses, or they don't endorse anything that's not their own. Everything they do is theirs. And then anything that happens off-site is kind of the secondary industry. And, there are tons and tons of people that live in Augusta that leave for tournament week.
They leave.
Get out of Dodge and they rent their house.
And they can make a killing. And think about it. If you own a place in New Orleans, rent it out for Mardi Gras, except triple that. I mean, you can make a killing if you rent out your house. And the entire city of Augusta changes. I mean, they get in there, they got the street cleaners, it looks pristine when you're there.
You ever been?
For Masters Week. I've never been for Masters Week. I've seen the other side of Augusta.
Yeah.
The non-Masters Week Augusta.
And there is a very real dichotomy.
Yes. It's very different.
Yeah. Parts of Augusta are very, very poor. Is it on your sports bucket list?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
But I'm waiting for my good friend Richard Cross to hook me up. Because the lottery system, I don't think it's going to work for me. I've never won the lottery, probably will never win the lottery, no matter if it's the Powerball or getting a ticket to the Masters.
I got bad news for you, JT.
Okay, what's that?
So are my 3 children. They're waiting to be hooked up as well. We had this conversation. My daughter kept going, hey, can we go this year? Can we go this year? I was like, okay, I didn't win the lottery. Let's pull up the secondary ticket market. For the 5 of us to go, it'll be $24,000 or $30,000 or whatever it was. Like, no, we can't go.
You got a reverse mortgage. You can use that.
If you do go the reverse mortgage route, please just loop me in.
At that point, what's another $6,000, right?
Hey, but on a real note, all of the Mississippians who will be tuning into the Masters, you got to cheer for Davis Riley. He will be competing for a second year. It is he debuted last year, the best finish since Jim Gallagher back in '91. And Gallagher is a friend of the program.
Mm-hmm. One of the all-time great guys.
Oh, yeah, great guy. So Davis will be back. I don't know tee times yet. I don't even think they've been released yet.
They have not.
But he is really the homegrown headline here. You do have a few names that you probably recognize that have come through the Sanderson Farms Championship. Foremost, Sergio Garcia, he won in 2020. And then Sam Burns, it was his second PGA victory at Sanderson in 2021. He'll be in the field this year. He got 91 players. Augusta likes to keep it under 100 since 1967 for whatever reason. And it's going to be a fun week. Tees off Thursday. The official tournament goes through Sunday, the green jacket ceremony. Should be a big deal.
I think there are 6 amateurs in the field this year. Scotty Scheffler, who is a 2-time winner, is the odds-on favorite to win the tournament this year, though he's not played as well this year as he has in recent seasons.
Yeah, so Scheffler is plus 500, and then you got Rory McIlroy, who, man, what a finish last year. Him and Bryson DeChambeau are plus 1,000. 2023 Masters champion John, how do you say his last name?
Rahm.
Plus 1,200. Then Ludwig
Oberg.
There we go. Ludwig Oberg and
Love
Xander.
His game. Xander
Schauffele. You see, thank you, Richard. This is why I need you, not only to help me with golf, but to get me a ticket to the Masters eventually.
Yeah.
I'll see you next year. Okay. They are plus 1,400. Notably, Tiger Woods is out. I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to go into all that. You can
believe he's in Switzerland now.
Yeah, I saw his plane landed there. I feel like if I got a DUI arrest, I would not be in Switzerland. And then Phil Mickelson is out due to a family health matter. It's the first time since 1994 neither of them have played. And I have on supertalk.fm, you can find everything to know, including how to watch the Masters. But Richard seems to have that one down. Just go ahead and retell him how you can tune in, Richard.
You need access to CBS Sports Network, Paramount Plus, CBS, and ESPN.
So is it more expensive to get a Masters ticket or to pay for every subscription that you need to watch it?
I think you could handle the recurring cost of every subscription for somewhere in the neighborhood of a decade and go buy an 85-inch LED crystal liquid QLED blah, blah, blah television, maybe two of them, and still come out ahead.
And if you have cable, you're just living right.
Do people still have cable?
Yeah, people still got cable.
I guess some do. Curious your take on the legislative session. We'll get that on the other side of the break. Dante Stallworth, the Moss Point native, he's still singing tonight, right?
He is. Daniel Stallworth. We'll find out if he is in the top 12.
I'm sorry, I just went with the alternate pronunciation.
American Idol. Yeah, it happens.
Call him Dante.
And if you've been watching Idol, we were actually supposed to find out last week if he'd be in the top 12. Too many votes couldn't be counted. So we find out tonight if Daniel Stallworth is in the top 12. I caught up with him on Friday. You can find that interview on YouTube. Great guy. Great guy, cheering for him. And if you get a chance tonight, get your votes in for him.
Dante Stallworth, former Tennessee Volunteer wide receiver. We're talking about Daniel Stallworth.
We're talking about Daniel. Very different people with very different talents, albeit very talented.
Who knows? Maybe Dante can sing too. Maybe Daniel can catch a football.
Next time I catch up with Daniel, I will ask.
We're back with you right after this. We'll wrap up the Monday edition of Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
From the Venable Glass.
Find out what's happening across your state. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
So you have 1,010 points in the bracket challenge. Now I'm at 950 going into the title game. I picked Michigan. You had Duke. Duke's not there, so it's a zero-sum game here.
Well, but what are the percentages, right? You're 68.5% chance of winning, and I'm 31.5% chance of winning.
Duke's favored. I'm not Duke. Michigan's favored.
Michigan is favored, but UConn looked good the other day. I don't know. I feel like I have a good shot here.
Sure you do.
I mean,
absolutely.
We each had a...
to not have a team even in it, I guess you do have a pretty good shot.
We each had a 1 in 400 trillion chance of being born.
Well, I mean...
I like my odds better.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, and I'm not surprised that you would be one that would be excited about your chances when you don't even get to step on the floor to compete. You just have to watch and hope somebody else loses. That sounds right.
What's more fun, watching a game when you're rooting for somebody to win or somebody to lose?
Oh, somebody to win.
I agree, but when money's on the line, let's go. Get that L.
All right, legislature, sine die on Friday. Percentage chance that they're back.
Oh, man, percentage. Is it better than my March Madness odds? Yes, I'd say it's better than my March Madness odds.
Okay.
I think that they'll be back for ancillary issues. I guess by that I mean cleanup work. You listened, or at least I heard you reference it earlier. Our article online talks about it as well, how when the Senate was gaveling out, Lieutenant Governor Delbert Hosemann said, "We'll probably see you again." He and House Speaker Jason White, at this point, unless they agree to tell people, hey, no need to come back. Lawmakers will be back on April 15th, which they could. And then, there's always rumblings of a special session. Now, the odds of that are much lower, but there are always rumblings of a special session. So, I guess at this point, Richard, they'll probably be back for a little bit, but I don't think for long, and I don't think for anything major.
If we get a special session, it's on PBM reform, right?
Yes.
Or do you think that's what they might come back to clean up at the end next week?
I wish I knew. I don't have a crystal ball. I think special session-wise, it would either have to be PBM reform or the governor has publicly mulled school choice. I think now that you have a teacher pay raise, that dissuades the governor a little bit from calling a special session on school choice. Because if the teacher pay didn't go through, he could say, hey, this is going to be an education special session. Get in there, get our teachers pay raises, and while you're at it, how about you look into getting some stuff across the finish line when it comes to school choice? But if you get in there and you can't get anything done, that's not a good look, especially when it costs $100K a day for a special session. That's where we're at, though.
Yeah, and it would be a tough pill to swallow to call a special session, have the legislature reconvene, be there for a week or two, spend $1 million, and then not get your desired outcome. And it's clear that the desired outcome of the governor is universal school choice. He has said as much publicly. It's what he believes in. The Senate clearly does not believe in that, and so it feels like it would end up being a waste of time.
And money. I mean, $1 million to hang out, that's not a great use of taxpayer money.
And I don't know that there's a way for the Governor Tate Reeves to drive that. I mean, obviously he is in alignment with the House, but not so much in the Senate. Not even not so much, just adamantly not with the Senate.
Yeah, and then there, as we saw with the vote on House Bill 2, was that correct? The big omnibus education package. There's not a ton of wiggle room in the House either.
Yeah. Somebody said special session would be for school choice. Okay. In a special session, can't they only do what is called for? Yes, that is correct. It is very narrow in terms of scope. The governor sets the agenda for a special session, not the legislature itself.
And that is one of the few legislative powers that the governor has. Otherwise, when it comes to the session, being the governor really is like, here's my recommendations, but you can't do anything else.
Thanks for being with us on this Monday morning. Don't forget Sports Talk Mississippi at Scruggs in Saltillo on Wednesday, Girard on Thursday. From the South Highland Colony Parkway in Ridgeland. We're with you all week as well, right here on Mornings with Richard Cross, presented by Community Bank. JT, as always, thank you for your time, sir.
Thanks, Richard. Go UConn.
Okay. Such a carpetbagger.
I will be texting you tonight.
Lance, always a pleasure. Thank you, sir. Happy Monday.
See you in the morning, bro.
We'll do it again tomorrow. We are back with you in about 21 hours. Thanks for joining us on this Monday morning. Hope you have a spectacular day. Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk, Mississippi.
A SuperTalk Mississippi media production.